everyone, Felicity here from the southern coast of the UK. Still no summer here in the UK. I've still got my heating on at night time. But hey ho, what would us English talk about if it wasn't the weather? I know, sewing things. So today I'm doing something different. I'm going to share with you some of the things I can't do without in my sewing room. Now this doesn't include sewing machines, overlockers and things like that, because you wouldn't, well, I wouldn't have a sewing room if I didn't have those things already. Okay, so here I've got, I feel a bit like Mary Poppins in here really, because everything's going to come out of this bag, and I can assure you I could go on for hours with everything I use, but I've just picked out a few things that might interest you. Some new things as well, new things to me. Okay, so let's get going. The first thing I've pulled out of the bag are pins, my pins, and my preference to using pins. My preference is to use thin, flathead pins. Those little blighters that when it sticks in your finger, it goes nice and deep. Okay, however, these very fine pins generally go into most fabrics with no problem, and fine fabrics too. The other thing, or the other reason I prefer these is because they're thin and I have no problem machining over them. All right, so that's my first thing, fine pins. I don't use any other pins but this type of pins. The next thing I've chosen to show you is my button spacer. So the reason I like this mainly is because I'm only 5'1" tall. So whenever I make anything, particularly if it's a blouse or a cardigan with buttons down the front, I have to re-space all the buttons and buttonholes. Right, so this little gadget, so if you've been following me on any of my tutorials, you'll know I have been making cardigans. And so this little gadget, after I'd lobbed off about 3 inches from the bottom, obviously the buttonholes weren't in the right place anymore. So all you do is spread this out bottom to top, however many you want. I've got 5 in here, so I moved it along here to the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up there a bit. Okay, so I spaced out 5 on here. I don't know. I think I might have done 6, did I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I did 6. Thought so. Wonder why it wasn't meeting. Okay, so there you go. There's the 6. You don't have to keep worrying about measuring, dividing it up. This is how it is spaced out. However many buttons you want. So if you wanted to bring that down to 7 buttons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There you go. There's your spacing for 7. For 8 buttons, there's your spacing for 8 buttons. All right, great gadget. Now I'm going to put everything on the description, in the description below, where you can purchase these things. So while I've got the full screen on the camera, you will notice that I have flowers in the corner, stocks. Where are they? That side, stocks. I always have flowers in my sewing room. This is my happy place, my sewing room, and I always have flowers in there. That's not necessary for you to sew with, but just a little bit of information about me. I do love flowers, particularly stocks. Beautiful. Anyway, this is the next thing I'm going to show you. This is a Gutermann creative box. Now, my mother-in-law bought me this for Christmas. I had seen several of my students with them, and I had been asking Father Christmas for one for a few years, and also for my birthday, but it never turned up apart from last Christmas, and it arrived. Now look at this. There are some missing because I need to restock. And incidentally, if you're in the UK, Hobbycraft are selling these threads, Gutermann threads. I think it's 3 for 2. All right, so I'm going to restock soon. Now, I love this because whatever I make, I have the colour here. It is just like, to a sewer, it's like a bag of sweets. All right, they have all the lovely colours that you would want to use. So the other interesting thing I want to tell you, that this box, when I bought it, well, when my mother-in-law bought it, would have been about £61 around Christmas time. I'm here to tell you that if you're in the UK, I don't know if it's the same in the USA and other places in the world, but this box is being sold for £35. Now you work that out. There are 42 threads in here. So I would say that's a bargain, and I love mine, and I will always keep it with all different colours in it. Okay. So do I use unpickers? No, I don't. I use these little things. I don't like unpickers. I've never used unpickers because I don't find the point is sharp enough to get into stitches. Okay, so with these, when it's a very sharp point, I can snip off fabric easily. I can unpick quicker than I can sew with these ones. Don't forget, I'll put all the information below where you can buy these things. Now it's the turn of the scissors. What scissors do I use? Always Fiskars. I've been using Fiskars for many, many years, and it's what I use in my sewing classes, and most of my students have their own Fiskars scissors. Some of them like the big ones, but I don't like the really big scissors. These are like the medium, the regular type. Okay, nice and sharp. See, right. And if they do go blunt, Fiskars also do this. Have you seen this before? Cheap as chips. Brilliant. So you just put your scissors in there, draw them out like that, and it sharpens your scissors. Beautiful. Mind you, they were sharpened before I started. Oh yeah, fabulous. Okay, so that's my next two things. My next thing to show you is my electric scissors. Now, these do sound like hedge cutters when they're going, but I would struggle without them now because sadly over lockdown my arthritis has got worse in my hand, and we thought we'd try these, and this has been an absolute godsend. I can still hold on to scissors, but it's quite painful. So I just thought I'd show you these. These are amazing. If anybody suffers like I do with your joints in your hands, this is ideal. Stickers. Fantastic. Couldn't do without these. I'll put the information where I bought these in the description below. My father was an oil painter, and he passed over 40 years ago, and I don't know why at the time, but I chose to take his paintbrush, or one of them. This paintbrush has been invaluable to me, not to paint anything, but to turn things through, because you can see it has a point, but it's not a very sharp point. And it is just brilliant. You can see how much it's been used at the end there. Yeah, so all I can say is it's been perfect. Thank you, Dad. And I will continue to use this. The next thing is an ironing mat that you can put beside you with your iron. It's absolutely invaluable. I'm not saying that it is a substitute for your ironing board, but you know, if you're doing small things that you just need to press, it's fabulous. It presses things because it holds the heat in here. It does tend to get a bit damp, but I quite like that really, because I find that it irons things better. Particularly, I'm not a great patch worker, but I do some patchwork. It's fantastic. So I'll put the information for this down below. Now I'm going to have a little bit of a laugh with you, a bit of a joke really. Or is it a joke, or was it serious? That's up to you to make up your mind. In my sewing classes that I run, we had one or two of the women complaining that it was dark in my room. Despite the fact I've got a light on and I've got lamps pointing at them, it was still dark. But you know, if you sew, you know as well as I do, it doesn't matter how much light you have. If you're sewing something dark, black, it's never enough, and it's never as good as natural light, is it? Daylight. So I decided I would try this, and I would buy one of these lamps. And I think I've videoed this 2 or 3 years ago that I think almost went viral. You know, my girls thought it was hysterical. So I came to the conclusion that if you put a lamp on your head like this, all right, the conclusion I came to was that it doesn't stay on your head. All right, absolutely ridiculous. Now you can't see me. So I came to a solution, and this was the solution. So this was my solution. I would keep 4 or 5 hats in my sewing room for my students and 4 of these lamps. And I wondered if they would complain about the light anymore in my sewing room. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll be back soon with other interesting things to share with you. Bye for now.